I left on a short trip expecting hugs. I came back to a house still standing, looking exactly the same, and somehow I was already homeless. Then my son whispered, it was her idea, and in that moment, I knew my life would never be the same. The damage was already done. This story is inspired by real-life submissions. Names and identifying details have been changed. I stood in my own driveway, staring at cardboard boxers stacked like discarded memories in the garage. My clothes? My photo albums. My late husband's military flag, folded into a careful triangle, sitting on top of a box labeled Mom's Stuff in Madeline's neat handwriting. I'd been gone for days. A short trip to visit my sister in Phoenix. 4 days. Oliver wouldn't look at me. My son, my only child, stood there with his hands shoved deep in his pockets, staring at the concrete floor like it held answers. When I asked him what was happening, he finally spoke. It was her idea. That's all he said. Like those 4 words explained why my entire life had been relocated to the garage while I was away. Madeline appeared in the doorway connecting the garage to the house. My house. The house my husband and I bought in 1987. The house where Oliver learned to ride a bike in that very driveway. The house I'd been making payments on before Madeline was even born. Mary, we need to talk about boundaries, she said, her voice smooth and practiced. You've been getting confused lately. Forgetting things? We think it's time the house had some structure. Some rules. Confused? I'd forgotten to return a library book once last month. That was it. What are you talking about? I kept my voice steady, but my hands were shaking. Oliver, what is she talking about? He finally met my eyes for half a second. Mom, you left the stove on twice. And you asked me the same question 3 times last week. That wasn't true. None of it was true. I want to see my room, I said. Madeline's smile didn't reach her eyes. That's actually what we need to discuss. We've converted your room into a home office. I work from home now, and I need proper space. You understand? I pushed past her. My legs felt unsteady, but I made it to what used to be my bedroom. The door was closed. When I tried the handle, it didn't turn. You locked my door? It's not your door anymore, Mary. Madeline's voice came from right behind me. And yes, I added a lock. I have important client files in there. Expensive equipment. We can't have you wandering in and disrupting things. Through the gap under the door, I could see new furniture. A white desk where my bed used to be. Filing cabinets where my dresser had stood for 30 years. Where exactly do you expect me to sleep? We've set up a very comfortable space in the garage, Madeline said. It has heating. We put your bed out there. You'll have plenty of room, and honestly, it might be better for everyone if you have your own separate area. More independence. Independence. In my own garage. In the house I'd owned for nearly 40 years. Oliver still hadn't said anything beyond blaming his wife. He stood there, this man I'd raised, this boy I'd rocked to sleep, and he let her speak for both of them. I turned and walked back through my house toward the garage. I needed air. I needed to think. This couldn't be legal. This couldn't be right. As I passed the kitchen counter, I saw Oliver's phone lying face up. The screen lit up with a notification. Just a glimpse. Just a second before he snatched it away. But I saw it. Signature completed. The screen went black as Oliver shoved the phone in his pocket, but those 2 words burned in my mind. What signature? Completed when? While I was in Phoenix, unable to sign anything, I walked into the garage and started opening boxers, trying to find anything that made sense. My hands were trembling as I pulled out sweaters, books, framed photos of Oliver as a baby. Then I saw the trash can in the corner. Someone had thrown away mail. I recognized the logo of my bank on an envelope, torn in half, and underneath it, pieces of paper, heavy paper, the kind used for official documents. I pulled them out carefully, fitting the pieces together like a puzzle. My name, the address of this house, an appraisal value, the logo of a mortgage company I didn't recognize, and a line that made my blood run cold. Home equity line of credit, $340,000. The paper was ripped right through the signature line. Someone had tried to destroy it, but they'd missed the second page. The page that showed this document had been processed 3 days ago. While I was in Phoenix, unreachable, trusting my son to water my plants, I looked at the closed door leading back into the house. I could hear Madeline's voice, confident and controlled, telling Oliver something I couldn't make out. My sister had asked me to stay longer. Stay through the weekend, she'd said. I'd told her no. I'd told her Oliver and Madeline needed their space, that I didn't want to be a burden. I stood there in my garage, holding pieces of a document I'd never seen before, with my name on it. And I realized they'd counted on me being exactly the confused old woman Madeline claimed I was. Someone who wouldn't notice. Someone who wouldn't ask questions. Someone who would just accept that her life could be packed into boxers while she was away. Someone who wouldn't check the bank. I folded the torn papers carefully and put them in my purse. Then I pulled out my phone and looked up the hours for my bank branch. They opened at 9 tomorrow morning, and I was going to be standing at the door when they unlocked it, because something had been signed with my name on it, and I was going to find out exactly what my son and his wife had done while I was gone. The bank branch opened at 9, but I was there at 8:45, sitting in my car with the torn papers in my purse and a knot in my stomach that hadn't loosened since yesterday. I hadn't slept. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that notification on Oliver's phone. Signature completed. I saw Madeline's satisfied smile as she explained that my bedroom, my sanctuary for 3 decades, was now her office, with a lock I couldn't open. The night had been long in that garage. Cold, despite the space heater Madeline mentioned. I'd lain on my own bed, surrounded by boxers, listening to footsteps above me. My house. My floors. Their footsteps. At 8:58, a woman in a navy blazer unlocked the front door. I grabbed my purse and walked in, trying to look more confident than I felt. I need to speak with someone about my account, I said. It's urgent. The woman, her name tag said Jennifer, smiled politely. Of course. Let me get one of our managers. May I have your name? Mary Richardson. Something flickered across her face. Recognition? Concern? She excused herself and disappeared into an office. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I sat in the waiting area, watching other customers come and go, wondering what was taking so long. Had they found something? Or was I just a confused old woman wasting everyone's time, exactly like Madeline said? Finally, a man emerged. Mid-40s, kind eyes, cautious smile. Mrs. Richardson, I'm Thomas Brewer, branch manager. Would you like to come to my office? The way he said it, gentle, careful, made my chest tighten. His office was small, but organized. He closed the door and sat down, pulling up something on his computer. He studied the screen for a long moment before looking at me. Mrs. Richardson, when was the last time you were in this branch? 3 weeks ago? I deposited my Social Security check. I always do it in person. He nodded slowly. And have you applied for any loans recently? Any home equity lines of credit? My hands gripped the armrests. No, never. Thomas exhaled. I was afraid you'd say that. He turned his monitor so I could see it. There, on the screen, was an application. My name, my address, my Social Security number. An application for a $340,000 home equity line of credit, dated 5 days ago. While I was in Phoenix. I didn't sign this, I whispered. I was out of town. I didn't even know about it. The application was submitted electronically, Thomas said carefully. It shows a digital signature authentication. But, Mrs. Richardson, I pulled up your history with us. You've banked here for 23 years, and you've never once done anything digitally. You always come in person. You prefer paper statements. You don't even have online banking set up. Because I don't trust it, I said. I like to see a real person. I like to know exactly what I'm signing. Exactly. He leaned forward. Which is why, when I saw this application come through yesterday, I flagged it. It didn't match your pattern. And then I saw something else. He clicked to another screen. The application required a witness signature. Someone who could verify that you understood the terms and were signing of your own free will. The witness listed is Oliver Richardson. My son? He signed it. According to the digital record? Yes. He's certified that he witnessed you signing this document. That you were of sound mind and clear understanding. The room felt too small suddenly. Too warm. I never signed anything, I said again. But my voice sounded far away. He knows that. He knows I was in Phoenix. I called him from my sister's house. He watered my plants while I was gone. Thomas's expression shifted to something that looked like pity. Mrs. Richardson, I need to ask you something, and please understand I'm not trying to be offensive. Has anyone suggested recently that you've been forgetful? Confused? The words hit like ice water. My daughter-in-law, I said slowly. Yesterday, she said I forget things. That I need structure. That's why she moved me into the garage. I heard how it sounded, how crazy it sounded. But Thomas didn't look skeptical. He looked sad. Mrs. Richardson, I've seen this before. Family members who assume an older relative won't understand documents, won't notice discrepancies, who think they're doing something for the best without proper consent. He paused. Or worse, you know exactly what they're doing. What happens now? My voice was barely a whisper. The application was flagged before any funds were released. No money has been disbursed, but the process was initiated, and according to our records, it was started from an IP address that matches your home location. From inside my house, while I was 800 miles away. I need copies, I said. Everything. Every document, every screen, every record that shows I didn't sign this. Thomas nodded. I can provide you with a full transaction report. And Mrs. Richardson? You need to speak with an attorney. Today, if possible. If someone forged your signature on a financial document using your property as collateral, that's fraud. Even if it's family. Especially if it's family. He printed page after page while I sat there, numb. When he handed me the stack-thick official, undeniable his hand was steady, but his eyes were troubled. One more thing, he said. The application shows that someone requested expedited processing. They claimed it was urgent due to medical expenses. Your medical expenses? I'm not sick, I said. I don't have medical expenses. I know, Thomas said quietly. But on paper, you look desperate, confused, in need of help managing your own affairs. I stood up, gripping the documents. Thank you for catching this, Mrs. Richardson. He stood too. Please be careful. Whoever did this went to considerable trouble to make it look legitimate. They're not going to be happy that it failed. I walked out of that bank with proof in my hands and a new understanding in my heart. My son hadn't just let his wife kick me into the garage. He'd helped her try to steal my house. I sat in my car outside the bank for 20 minutes, staring at the documents Thomas had printed. Every page screamed the same truth. Someone had tried to use my home, my life as collateral while I was gone. And that someone lived under my roof. I needed to think. I needed to understand how deep this went. But more than anything, I needed to know who else had seen what happened while I was in Phoenix. Charlotte. Charlotte Morrison had lived 3 doors down for 15 years. She was the kind of neighbor who noticed everything, not in a nosy way, but in a way that made you feel watched over. She'd served on the HOA board forever, knew every resident, every visitor, every contractor who came through our development. If someone had come to my house while I was gone, Charlotte would know. I drove home slowly, my mind racing. When I pulled into my driveway, I saw Madeline's car parked where mine used to go, right in front of the garage door, making a point, claiming territory. I parked on the street and walked to Charlotte's house instead. She answered on the second knock, her face lighting up when she saw me. "Mary, you're back. How is Phoenix? Can I come in?" Her smile faded. "Of course. What's wrong?" Inside her tidy living room, surrounded by family photos and the smell of coffee, I told her everything. The boxers in the garage, the locked bedroom, the loan application I never signed. Charlotte's face went pale, then red. "That girl!" she hissed. I knew something was off. "What do you mean?" She set down her coffee cup carefully. "While you were gone, I saw a man come to your house. Tuesday afternoon, around 2 o'clock. He was carrying a leather briefcase, wearing a badge on his belt." My heart started pounding. "What kind of badge?" "Official looking." I couldn't see exactly, but he wasn't a deliver man. Madeline let him in. They were inside for maybe 30 minutes. When he left, she walked him to his car, a silver sedan with some kind of business logo on the door. "Did you see what it said?" Charlotte shook her head. I was too far away. "But Mary, here's the thing. When I saw her later that day, she saw me in my yard and came over," she said. Charlotte's voice dropped, mimicking Madeline's tone. "Mary doesn't really keep track of her paperwork anymore. We're helping her organize everything. You know how it is at her age." The air left my lungs. "At my age," I repeated. She said that, word for word. And the way she said it, Mary, like it was common knowledge. Like everyone understood you weren't capable anymore. Charlotte reached across and squeezed my hand. I didn't believe her then, and I sure as hell don't believe her now. "She brought someone official to my house while I was gone," I said slowly, the pieces falling into place. "Someone who could witness a signature, or notarize a document. But you weren't there to sign anything." "Exactly." We sat in silence for a moment. Then Charlotte said, "Mary, you have that camera on your front door? The one Oliver installed last year for security? Does it record? The Ring camera?" My stomach dropped. "It's supposed to, but I don't know how to check it." "Oliver set it all up on his phone." "On his phone, not yours. He said it would be easier, that he'd monitor it for me since I didn't understand the technology." I laughed bitterly. I didn't understand the technology. Charlotte's expression hardened. "That camera records to the cloud. Everything gets saved automatically. If someone came to your door while you were gone, there's video proof. But Oliver controls the account." "Does he?" Charlotte pulled out her own phone. "What's the camera company?" "Ring. The doorbell is a Ring." She typed quickly. "Okay, listen to this. Ring cameras linked to whoever's email was used during setup. Do you remember setting it up at all? Even just creating an account?" I closed my eyes, thinking back. Oliver had me make an email specifically for it. He said it was for security purposes. I wrote down the password in my address book. "Do you still have that address book?" "It's in one of the boxers." "In the garage?" Charlotte stood up. "Then let's go get it. Right now." We walked back to my house together. Madeline's car was still there, but I didn't see anyone in the windows. I led Charlotte through the side door into the garage, grateful I still had that key. It took 10 minutes of digging, but I found the address book tucked into a box labeled "Mom's Desk Stuff." And there, on the inside back cover in my own handwriting, the email address and password for the Ring account. Charlotte pulled out her phone and navigated to the Ring website. "Let's try logging in." She handed me the phone. My hands shook as I typed in the email and password. The screen loaded, and there it was. My account, my camera. And underneath, video history minus 247 recordings. 247. I whispered. "It records every time someone approaches the door," Charlotte explained. "Click on the history." I scrolled through. Delivery drivers. Oliver leaving for work. Madeline getting the mail. And then Tuesday, 2:14 p.m. A man in a dress shirt and tie, carrying a briefcase, standing at my front door. That's him, Charlotte breathed. That's the man I saw. I clicked the video. It started playing, and I could hear everything. The doorbell rings. Madeline opens it, smiling. Mr. Peterson, thanks for coming on such short notice. Not a problem, Mrs. Richardson. You said this was time sensitive. Very. My mother-in-law is elderly. She gets confused easily. We're trying to help her organize her affairs before she... Madeline's voice dropped to something that sounded like sympathy. Before she declines further, we need to move quickly while she still has lucid moments. My hand tightened on Charlotte's phone. The man Peterson nodded. I understand completely. These situations are always difficult. You have the documents ready? Yes, everything's prepared. She's resting right now, but we can handle the preliminary paperwork. Actually, I'll need to witness her signature in person. That's required for notarization. There was a pause. Then Madeline said something that made my blood freeze. She doesn't need to be present right now. My husband has her power of attorney. That was a lie. Oliver didn't have power of attorney. I'd never signed anything giving him that. But I watched as Madeline stepped aside and Oliver appeared on camera. My son, shaking this stranger's hand, inviting him into my house. We really appreciate you coming, Oliver said. Mom's been having episodes. Yesterday she forgot what year it was. We're worried. Another lie. The video continued. They stepped inside, and the audio became muffled, but I could see them through the window, sitting at my dining room table, opening folders, Oliver signing something while Peterson watched. The video was 8 minutes long. When it ended, I just sat there, staring at the screen. Mary, Charlotte said gently, that's evidence. Real evidence. They can't say you're confused or forgetful when there's video of them lying to a notary. She was right. But all I could think about was Oliver's face on that screen, calm, confident, telling a stranger that his mother was declining. I need to save this, I said. Before Oliver realizes I can still access it. I can download it right now, Charlotte said. I'll send it to my email and yours. Multiple copies. They can't delete what they don't know exists. While she worked, I scrolled through more videos. There were others. Madeline on the phone outside, Tuesday evening. She won't even know until it's done. By then, it'll be too late to stop it. Wednesday morning, Oliver leaving the house with a manila envelope. Wednesday afternoon, Madeline carrying boxes into the garage. All of it recorded. All of it time-stamped. All of it proof. Got it, Charlotte said. Videos are downloaded and backed up. What are you going to do? I looked at my house. At the home I'd built with my husband. At the garage where they'd tried to hide me away. I'm going to talk to a lawyer, I said. And then I'm going to ask them one simple question. If I was so confused and forgetful, how did I figure all of this out? I called the Ring support line from Charlotte's house. A young man named Jimmy answered, walking me through recovery steps, while Madeline's voice echoed in my head. Mary always forgets her passwords. Okay, Mrs. Richardson, I'm showing your account is active. You should be able to access everything now, Jimmy said cheerfully. Thank you. I was worried I'd lost everything. Nope, it's all backed up in the cloud. Even if someone deleted the app from a device, the recordings stay in your account. Someone, Oliver. I hung up and opened the Ring app on my phone, the phone I'd had all along. The one Oliver said was too old to handle the camera app. Another lie. The front door camera loaded instantly. 247 recordings. I scrolled to Tuesday, the day that man came to my house. Charlotte leaned over my shoulder as I pressed play. The doorbell rang. Madeline opened it, smiling at a man in a pressed shirt. He wore a lanyard with a badge. Mr. Peterson, thank you for coming on short notice. Of course, Mrs. Richardson. You mentioned time sensitivity? Madeline glanced back into the house. Yes. My mother-in-law is elderly. She gets confused with paperwork. We're trying to help her before things get worse. My throat tightened. Peterson nodded sympathetically. I understand. Do you have the documents? Right here? She's resting now, but we can start the preliminary work. I'll need her signature witnessed in person for the notarization. A pause. Then Madeline's voice, smooth as glass. My husband has power of attorney. He can sign on her behalf. I gasped. Charlotte grabbed my arm. That was a lie. A complete, documented lie. I'd never given Oliver power of attorney. On screen, Oliver appeared, shaking Peterson's hand. We appreciate this. Mom's been having episodes. Yesterday she couldn't remember what day it was. Another lie. They moved inside. Through the front window, I could see them at my dining room table. Oliver signing papers. Peterson watching, making notes. The video ran 8 minutes. When it ended, I sat frozen. Mary, Charlotte whispered. That's it. That's proof they lied to a notary. I scrolled through more videos, my hand shaking. There Tuesday evening. Madeline outside on her phone. She won't know until it's done. By then it'll be too late. Wednesday morning, Oliver leaving with a manila envelope. Wednesday afternoon, Madeline carrying my boxers into the garage. All of it recorded. All of it time-stamped. I need to save these, I said. Charlotte took my phone. I'm downloading everything and sending copies to both our emails. They can't delete what they don't control. While she worked, I stared at the screen. My son's face, calm and convincing, telling a stranger his mother was declining. Done, Charlotte said. Triple backed up. What now? I stood, steadier than I'd felt in days. Now I call a lawyer. Because if I'm so confused, how did I find all this? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Tomorrow, I'd get answers. Tonight, I'd sleep in that garage knowing I had something they didn't expect. Evidence, truth, and a recording of every lie they'd told. The law office smelled like old books and furniture polish. I sat across from attorney Rebecca Chun, the videos queued on my phone, the bank documents spread across her mahogany desk. She'd spent 20 minutes reviewing everything in silence. Now she looked up, her expression carefully neutral. Mrs. Richardson, I need to be very clear about what I'm seeing here. My hands gripped my purse. Please, just tell me the truth. This is attempted fraud. Real estate fraud, specifically. And because it involves forgery of your signature and false claims to a notary public, it's also a criminal matter. The words landed heavy. Criminal, my son. The video shows your daughter-in-law claiming your son has power of attorney, which you've confirmed he doesn't. That's a false statement made to facilitate a fraudulent transaction. Rebecca tapped the bank papers. And someone submitted a loan application with your forged signature, using your son as a witness while you were 800 miles away. Can they claim I actually did sign it? That I just forgot? Rebecca's eyes sharpened. That's exactly what they'll try. They've been building a narrative. She's confused. She forgets things. She can't manage her affairs. It's a common pattern in elder financial abuse. Elder abuse? The term made me flinch. But you have something powerful, Mrs. Richardson. You have a timeline that proves you couldn't have signed those documents. Phone records showing you in Phoenix, your sister as a witness. And most importantly, she gestured to my phone. Video evidence of them lying to a notary about having authority they don't possess. What do I do? Rebecca pulled out a legal pad. First, I'm filing a formal complaint with the notary's licensing board. Mr. Peterson needs to know he was deceived. Second, I'm sending official notice to the bank confirming the fraud and your non-consent. Third, she paused, watching me carefully. Third, I'm recommending we notify the county attorney's office. This crosses the line from civil dispute into criminal activity. My chest tightened. That's my son. I know. Her voice softened. But Mrs. Richardson, they tried to take your home. They displaced you to your own garage. They're counting on you being too afraid or too confused to fight back. She was right. I knew she was right. How long do I have? The bank already froze the loan application. But your son and daughter-in-law don't know that yet. They don't know you've discovered what they did. Right now, they think they're safe. So I have the advantage. Exactly. Surprise is on your side. Rebecca made notes quickly. I'll draft the formal notifications today. The notary board will investigate Peterson's role if he was complicit or simply deceived. Either way, his records will show what really happened. And Oliver and Madeline, they'll receive certified letters informing them that their actions have been reported and that you're taking legal steps to protect your property. The letters will reference the video evidence and the bank's fraud finding. I imagined Oliver's face when he opened that letter. Would he feel shame, fear, or just anger that I'd caught him? There's something else, Rebecca said. The video shows them moving your belongings while you were away. That's not just disrespectful in the context of this fraud attempt. It looks like they were preparing to claim you'd moved out or were no longer competent to maintain residence. The full picture emerged like a photograph developing. They hadn't just wanted my money. They'd wanted my house, my space, my life. They wanted to erase me, I whispered. They wanted to control you. There's a difference, and it matters legally. Control suggests ongoing exploitation, not just a one-time theft. Rebecca handed me a tissue. I hadn't realized I was crying. Mrs. Richardson, Mary, I've handled cases like this before. Adult children who convince themselves they're helping or that they deserve their parents' assets. Sometimes they even believe the parent won't really mind. She leaned forward. But this is your home, your financial security, your autonomy. You have every right to defend it. What happens when they get the letters? They'll likely contact you. They may apologize, claim it was a misunderstanding. They may blame each other. Or they may get aggressive and accuse you of being manipulated by lawyers and neighbors. Charlotte, I said. They'll say Charlotte turned me against them. Probably. That's why we're documenting everything now, while the evidence is fresh. Charlotte's willing to provide a sworn statement about what she witnessed. Yes, she already offered. Good. We'll need that. And, Mary, when they contact you on they will, don't engage alone. Call me first. Don't let them pressure you into working it out privately. This is beyond private resolution. I nodded, feeling something shift inside me. Not anger, exactly. Something colder, clearer. Resolve. How long before they know? The certified letters will arrive tomorrow. After that, things will move quickly. I stood, gathering my purse. Thank you, Rebecca. We're just getting started, she said. But Mary, you did the hard part already. You refused to accept their version of reality. Most people in your position never get this far. Walking to my car, I felt the spring air differently. Sharper, more present. Tomorrow, Oliver and Madeline would open their mail and discover I wasn't confused at all. I was awake. I was watching. And I had receipts. The certified letter arrived at 10:30 the next morning. I watched from the garage window as the mail carrier handed Madeline the thick envelope, watched her sign for it with that confident signature she used for everything. She didn't open it right away, just carried it inside, probably assuming it was something routine, something she could handle. I waited. 15 minutes later, I heard shouting. Madeline's voice, sharp and rising. Then Oliver's, deeper but panicked. A door slammed. Another 10 minutes. Then Oliver was in the garage, his face pale. Mom, we need to talk. I set down the book I'd been pretending to read. About what? You know about what? This letter from a lawyer? Saying we committed fraud? Mom, this is insane. Is it? He ran his hand through his hair, the gesture so familiar it hurt. You're confused about what happened. We were trying to help you. The house is too much for you to manage, and we thought you'd forge my signature on a loan application while I was out of town. His face flushed. We didn't forge anything. You said we could handle your finances. You said you trusted us. Show me where I said that, Oliver. Show me the document where I gave you power of attorney. Silence. You can't? Because it doesn't exist. And I have video of Madeline telling a notary that you had it. His expression shifted from defensive to something harder. You've been spying on us? It's my camera. On my house. Recording my front door. I deleted that app from your phone. You deleted it from your phone. Not from my account. Turns out I'm not as confused as everyone keeps saying. Oliver's jaw tightened. Mom, you're being manipulated. That neighbor, Charlotte, she's poisoning you against your own family. And this lawyer is just looking for a payday. Charlotte witnessed your wife bringing a notary to my house while I was in Phoenix. The lawyer is looking at bank records that prove someone applied for a $340,000 loan in my name without my knowledge or consent. Those are facts, Oliver, not manipulation. We were trying to help. His voice cracked. The house needs repairs. You're living on Social Security. We thought you could take out a loan against my property without telling me. You thought you could move me into the garage and I wouldn't fight back. You thought I was old and confused and easy. That's not fair. What's not fair? I said, my voice level and cold. Is finding my entire life in boxers while you turn my bedroom into your wife's office. What's not fair is hearing you tell a stranger that I'm declining. What's not fair is discovering you lied to a notary public using my home as collateral. Madeline appeared in the doorway, holding the letter. Her face was composed now. Calculating. Mary, I think we all need to take a breath and approach this rationally. You're at an age where legal proceedings can be very stressful, very confusing. Why don't we sit down as a family and resolve this privately? So I should drop the complaint and pretend none of this happened. I'm saying that dragging this through courts and lawyers will only hurt you. Think about your reputation, your stress levels. At your age, is this really worth it? At my age? Always at my age. You know what's stressful, Madeline? Sleeping in a garage? Being told I'm confused when I'm not. Discovering my own son helped you lie to steal my house. We weren't stealing anything, she snapped. The mask slippin'? This house is worth $680,000. We're drowning in debt. You're going to leave it to Oliver anyway. So what difference does it make if we access some equity now? There it was. The truth, finally. The difference, I said quietly, is that it's mine. And you don't get to decide what happens to it. Oliver stepped between us. Mom, please. If you pursue this, they could press charges. Against me. Do you want to see your son arrested? My heart broke and hardened at the same time. I want to see my son tell the truth. Can you do that, Oliver? Can you look at me and admit what you did? He couldn't. He stood there, eyes down, silent. My phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. Bank confirmed, fraud prevention complete. All claims against your property blocked. Official record shows attempted unauthorized access. You're protected. I looked at Oliver and Madeline. The bank just sent official confirmation. The loan was blocked. There's now a formal record of attempted fraud attached to my property. That record has your names on it. Madeline's face went white. You're really doing this? You're really choosing strangers over family? You chose fraud over honesty. You chose my garage over my dignity. You don't get to call this family. We have nowhere else to go, Oliver said, and he sounded young suddenly, desperate. You should have thought of that before you tried to steal my home. I walked past them, out of the garage, into my house. My house. I climbed the stairs to the locked bedroom door and knocked. Madeline, I need you to unlock this. Now. After a long pause, I heard footsteps. The lock clicked. The door opened. My room looked nothing like I'd left it. White desk, filing cabinets, not a trace of me. You have 1 week, I said. Find somewhere else to live. After that, I'm changing the locks. Charlotte arrived at Rebecca's office the same time I did. We sat in the small conference room while Rebecca prepared the paperwork, and Charlotte squeezed my hand. You're doing the right thing, she said. Then why does it feel so awful? Because it's your son. But Mary, love doesn't mean letting people hurt you. Rebecca entered with a neat stack of papers. Charlotte, thank you for coming. I need you to provide a sworn statement about what you witnessed. Just tell me everything in your own words. Charlotte sat straighter. Tuesday afternoon, around 2 o'clock, I saw a man arrive at Mary's house. He carried a briefcase and wore some kind of official badge on a lanyard. Madeline let him in. They were inside maybe 30 minutes. Rebecca typed quickly. Did you speak with Madeline that day? Yes. She came to my yard later. She said, Nand, I remember this exactly. Mary doesn't really keep track of her paperwork anymore. We're helping her organize everything. You know how it is at her age. And what was your impression of that statement? Charlotte's voice hardened. That she was lying. Mary is sharper than people half her age. She's organized, careful, independent. Madeline was spreading a false narrative, and I think she was testing to see if neighbors would believe it. Did you believe it? Not for a second. Rebecca finished typing and printed the statement. Charlotte read it carefully, then signed at the bottom. Notarized. Official. Undeniable. This helps significantly, Rebecca said. It corroborates the video evidence and establishes that Madeline was actively creating a false narrative about Mary's competency. What happens now? I asked. Now we send this statement, along with the video evidence and bank records, to 3 places. First, the Notary Licensing Board investigating Mr. Peterson. Second, the county attorney's office as part of the fraud complaint. Third, to the title company as notice that any documents involving your property require in-person verification from this point forward. My phone buzzed. A text from Oliver. Mom, please, can we just talk? Just the 2 of us. I showed it to Rebecca. Don't respond yet, she said. This is a common tactic. Isolate you from support. Appeal to emotion. Try to negotiate away your legal protections. He's still my son. I know. But right now, he's also someone who participated in forging your signature on a legal document. Those things can both be true. Another text. Madeline says, we have to be out in a week. Where are we supposed to go? Charlotte leaned over. Mary, may I? I handed her my phone. She typed quickly and showed me before sending. You had weeks to plan while stealing from her. You'll figure it out. The response was immediate. This is between me and my mother. Stay out of it. Charlotte smiled grimly and typed again. I'm a witness now. I'm already in it. My phone rang. Oliver's name on the screen. Rebecca nodded. You can answer. But put it on speaker, and remember anything he says could be used later. I answered. Hello, Oliver. Mom? His voice was tight. We need to fix this. Today. Before it gets worse. How do you suggest we fix it? Drop the complaints. Tell the lawyer it was a misunderstanding. We'll move out quietly, and we can all move on. Move on. Like none of this happened. Mom, they're talking about pressing charges. Do you understand what that means? I could lose my job. Madeline could lose her license. Our entire lives could be destroyed because of a mistake. It wasn't a mistake, Oliver. You forged my signature. You lied to a notary. You tried to take a loan against my house while I was in Phoenix visiting Aunt Jean. We were desperate. Our credit cards are maxed. We're 3 months behind on the car payment. I didn't know what else to do. My chest ached. You could have asked me. Would you have said yes? The question hung there, honest and brutal. No, I said quietly. Not for $340,000. Not against my home. But I might have helped another way. A smaller amount. A payment plan. Something honest. It's too late for that now. Yes, I agreed. It is. Silence. Then, so you're really going to let them arrest me? I'm going to let the legal system determine what happens. You made choices, Oliver. Those choices have consequences. And you're choosing revenge over your own son. I'm choosing myself, I said, and my voice didn't shake. For the first time in this whole mess, I'm choosing my own dignity and safety. If that feels like revenge to you, maybe that says something about what you expected from me. He hung up. Charlotte reached for my hand again. Rebecca made a note on her legal pad. That went better than expected, Rebecca said. He admitted desperation and financial motive. If this goes to court, that conversation helps establish intent. Will it go to court? That depends on the county attorney and whether Oliver and Madeline cooperate with the investigation. But Mary, I need you to understand something. The notary board responded this morning. She pulled out an email and turned her laptop to face me. Mr. Peterson claims he was deceived. He says Madeline showed him documents that appeared to give Oliver power of attorney. He's cooperating fully with the investigation and has provided copies of everything from that visit. What does that mean? It means the evidence is now officially part of a state investigation. Even if you wanted to drop everything, the state could choose to pursue it independently. This is out of your hands now. The weight of it settled over me. I'd started something I couldn't stop. Charlotte spoke up. Good. They shouldn't get away with this just because Mary is kind. Rebecca nodded. The system is designed to protect vulnerable adults from financial exploitation. Your age makes this a priority case. Mary? They take elder fraud seriously. I'm not vulnerable, I said automatically. No, Rebecca agreed. You're not. But in the eyes of the law, anyone over 6 to 5 who's targeted by family members for financial exploitation gets additional protections. That works in your favor. Another text from Oliver. Fine. We'll be out by Friday. Happy now? I wasn't happy. I wasn't vindicated. I just felt tired and sad and certain. Don't respond, Rebecca said. Let Friday come. I'll have someone present when they move out to document the condition of your property. You think they'll damage something? I think angry people do unpredictable things. Better to have a witness. Charlotte stood. I'll be there too. Mary shouldn't face them alone. I looked at these 2 women, one I'd hired, one I'd known for years, and realized I wasn't alone. I'd thought I was sleeping in that garage surrounded by boxers. But I'd never been alone. I'd just been quiet. And now I was done being quiet. The county clerk's office called on Thursday morning. A woman named Patricia, professional and direct. Mrs. Richardson, we need to schedule a time for your son and daughter-in-law to provide clarification on some discrepancies in the notarized documents. Both of them, yes. Separately, we've found inconsistencies in their statements, and we need to resolve them before proceeding. My stomach nodded. What kind of inconsistencies? I can't discuss details, but I can tell you that when stories don't align, it often indicates someone isn't being truthful. We've scheduled Oliver Richardson for tomorrow at 10. Madeline Richardson at 2. Separate appointments. They couldn't coordinate stories. Will I need to be there? Not tomorrow, but we may call you in next week for a formal deposition. For now, we're gathering statements. After she hung up, I texted Rebecca. She called back immediately. This is good, she said. The clerk's office moves fast when there's clear evidence. They're going to ask Oliver and Madeline direct questions about the timeline, the notary visit, and who said what. What if they lie? Then they're lying under oath. That's perjury. and it makes everything worse for them. Friday morning, Charlotte arrived at 9. By 9:30, a property inspector Rebecca hired was photographing every room. By 9:45, we heard Oliver's truck in the driveway. He and Madeline moved in silence, carrying boxers and furniture without looking at me. I sat in my living room watching them dismantle the life they'd tried to build in my space. The white desk came out. The filing cabinets. The expensive ergonomic chair Madeline had bought with money I now suspected came from somewhere it shouldn't have. Oliver loaded the truck while Madeline made multiple trips, her face a mask of controlled fury. She didn't speak to me, didn't acknowledge Charlotte or the inspector, just moved with mechanical precision. At 11, Oliver came inside one last time. He stood in the doorway, keys in his hand. "I'm supposed to go to the clerk's office at 10 on Monday," he said. "I know. What did you tell them?" "The truth, that I never signed anything, never gave permission, and never authorized anyone to act on my behalf." "Madeline says you're lying. She says you did agree and just forgot." I stood up slowly. "Then let her say that under oath. Let's see if her story holds up when she's facing legal consequences for lying." Something flickered in his eyes. Fear, maybe, or realization. "She's going to blame me," he said quietly. "She's already practicing what she'll say. That I convinced her you'd agreed? That I forged your signature and she didn't know?" "Did you? Did I what?" "Forged my signature." He looked at the floor. "She did it. On the computer. She said it was just a digital version of your signature, that it didn't really count as forgery because we were going to tell you anyway. But you witnessed it. You told the bank I was present when I was in Phoenix. She said it would be fine. That you'd understand once we explained the financial situation." I felt something break inside me. Not my heart that had broken days ago. Something else. The last thread of hope that my son would take responsibility. "Oliver, you're 43 years old. You don't get to blame your wife for your choices." "I know." His voice cracked. "But Mom, if I tell them the truth, if I admit what happened, I'll lose everything." "You already lost everything," I said. "The moment you decided my house was yours to gamble with." He set the keys on the entry table. "I'm sorry." "Are you sorry you did it? Or sorry you got caught?" He didn't answer, just walked out. Madeline appeared minutes later, carrying the last box. She paused at the door, looking at me with something close to hatred. "You know what's funny, Mary? We were going to let you stay. We were going to take care of you. But you couldn't just be grateful. You had to make everything difficult." "Grateful," I repeated, "for being moved into the garage, for having family that gave a damn. But you chose strangers over us. A nosy neighbor and a lawyer who just wants your money. Good luck when you're really old and really alone." Charlotte stood up. "She's not alone. And she's not confused. She's just done tolerating theft." Madeline's face flushed red. "You poisoned her against us?" "No," I said. "You did that yourselves. The camera did that. The bank records did that. I just refused to pretend I didn't notice." She left without another word. The truck pulled away. The house fell silent. The inspector finished his documentation and handed me a folder. "No damage to the property. Everything's clean." They took only what was theirs. Rebecca called at noon. The clerk's office just confirmed Monday appointments for both of them. "Mary, you should know the county attorney is likely to pursue charges regardless of what they say. The evidence is too strong. What happens to them? Depends on their cooperation and criminal history. Could be fines, probation, restitution, in severe cases, jail time. But that's not your responsibility to decide. It feels like it is. It's not. Your responsibility was to tell the truth and protect yourself. You did that. The rest is up to the legal system." That evening, Charlotte and I moved my bed back upstairs. We dismantled the white desk Madeline had left behind and carried my dresser up from the garage. By 8 o'clock, my room looked like mine again. Not exactly as it was. That version was gone, but something new. Something reclaimed. I sat on my bed, looking at the empty street through my window. No truck, no Oliver, no Madeline, just me and my house and the quiet truth that I'd survived. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This isn't over. I screenshotted it and sent it to Rebecca. Her response came fast. Don't engage. Save everything. Document all contact. You're protected. I was protected. By lawyers and cameras and sworn statements and bank records. But more than that, I was awake. And no one was putting me back in that garage. Monday morning arrived cold and gray. I sat in my kitchen, my reclaimed kitchen drinking coffee while my phone buzzed with updates from Rebecca. Oliver's appointment at the clerk's office is in 30 minutes. Madeline's at 2. I'll update you after each one. I tried to watch television. Tried to do anything but imagine what was happening downtown in that sterile government office where my son was answering questions about forging my signature. At 11:15, Rebecca called. Oliver talked, she said without preamble. He admitted everything. My coffee cup shook in my hand. Everything. He confirmed that you were in Phoenix when the documents were signed. He confirmed that Madeline created the digital signature. He confirmed that he told the notary he had power of attorney when he didn't. And Mary, he said it was Madeline's idea, but he went along with it because they were desperate financially. So he's blaming her. Essentially, yes. He's trying to minimize his role, but the facts don't support that. He was present. He signed as witness. He lied to the bank and the notary. He can't claim he was just following orders. What did the clerk say? She documented everything and informed him that his statement would be part of the official record. She also told him that the county attorney would review the case and determine if charges would be filed. When? Likely within 2 weeks. They're waiting for Madeline's statement this afternoon. If her story contradicts Oliver's and it probably will, that strengthens the case for prosecution. I set down my coffee. They're going to turn on each other. That's common in cases like this. When people realize the consequences are real, self-preservation takes over. At 2:30, Rebecca called again. This time her voice was sharper, more alert. Madeline just finished. Mary. She denied everything. What? She claims you verbally authorized the loan. She says you told her and Oliver to handle your finances because you were overwhelmed and forgetful. She insists the signature was legitimate because you'd given blanket permission. That's a complete lie. I know. And the clerk knows too. Because Madeline couldn't explain why. If you'd given permission, they waited until you were out of state to process everything. She couldn't explain the video of her telling the notary that Oliver had power of attorney. And she definitely couldn't explain why your signature appears on documents dated and time-stamped while you were documented in Phoenix, with phone records and witnesses. So what happens now? The clerk forwards both statements to the county attorney, along with all evidence, the video, the bank records, Charlotte's sworn statement, the notary's testimony. Then the attorney decides whether to file criminal charges. Against both of them? Most likely, yes. They both participated knowingly in a scheme to defraud you of your property. The fact that their stories contradict each other actually makes it easier to prosecute. Liars can't keep their stories straight. I felt something settle in my chest. Not satisfaction, exactly. More like closure beginning to take shape. Rebecca, what if Oliver calls me? What if he asks me to drop it? The state is pursuing this now. You couldn't drop it even if you wanted to. And, Mary, you shouldn't want to. These people tried to steal your home. They displaced you to the garage. They told everyone you were confused and incompetent. They don't get to ask for mercy now. She was right. But knowing it and feeling it were different things. That evening, I was reorganizing my bedroom closet when my phone rang. Oliver. I almost didn't answer. Then I remembered Rebecca's advice. Document everything. I put it on speaker and pressed record. Mom, Oliver, they're going to file charges. The county attorney called my lawyer. Fraud, forgery, elder abuse. His voice broke. Mom, I could go to jail. You should have thought about that before you forged my signature. Please? There has to be something you can do. Tell them you gave permission. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. You want me to lie under oath so you don't face consequences for lying under oath? I'm your son. And I'm your mother. The mother you tried to rob. The mother you put in the garage like old furniture. The mother you told strangers was declining when I was perfectly fine. I didn't mean yes. You did. You meant exactly what you did. You just didn't mean to get caught. Silence on the line. Then, quieter. Madeleine says this is your fault. That you should have just trusted us. Oliver, listen to yourself. Your wife forged my signature. You lied to a notary. You tried to take out a $340,000 loan against my house without my knowledge. And somehow, in your mind, I'm the one who did something wrong. You're acting like we're criminals. You are criminals. That's what fraud is. That's what forgery is. Another long silence. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Colder. Fine. If you want to destroy your own son, go ahead. But don't expect me to forgive you for this. I don't, I said. I expect you to take responsibility. But you've never been good at that, have you? He hung up. I stopped the recording and sent it to Rebecca immediately. Her response: perfect. He just admitted on tape that the county attorney is filing charges, and he asked you to lie to protect him. This recording proves consciousness of guilt. Save it in 3 places. I saved it to my phone, my computer, and emailed it to Charlotte for backup. Then I sat on my bed, in my room, in my house, and let myself feel everything I'd been holding back. Grief for the son I thought I had. Relief that I'd protected myself. Anger at the betrayal. And underneath it all, something unexpected. Pride. I'd been quiet my whole life. Accommodating. The good wife. The good mother. The woman who didn't make waves. But when they tried to erase me, I'd fought back. I'd found evidence. I'd hired a lawyer. I'd documented everything. I'd refused to be the confused old woman they needed me to be. And that refusal had saved me. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Rebecca. County attorney formally filing charges tomorrow morning. This is real now. You did it, Mary. You protected yourself and held them accountable. That takes courage most people never find. I read it twice, then set the phone down. Tomorrow they'd face a judge. Tomorrow the legal system would do what family loyalty couldn't. Demand the truth. And I'd be here, in my house, with my dignity intact. If you've stayed with me this long, I need to say something. This isn't easy to share. These are the hardest moments of my life, watching my own son face consequences for what he did to me. But if you're listening because something in this story feels familiar, if you've ever been told you're too old to understand, too confused to manage your own life, too much trouble to keep around, I want you to know, you're not. You're not confused. You're not the problem. And you deserve better. Subscribe if you want to hear how this ends. Because it does end. And the ending, it's mine. The call came on a Wednesday morning, 3 weeks after Oliver and Madeleine moved out. Rebecca's voice was steady, but I could hear the satisfaction underneath. The county attorney filed formal charges yesterday. Fraud, forgery, attempted theft by deception, and exploitation of an at-risk adult. Both of them. I sat down slowly. What happens now? Arraignment, in 2 weeks. They'll enter pleas. Based on the evidence, the attorney expects them to take a plea deal rather than go to trial. Probably probation, restitution, and fines. Maybe community service. Jail time is possible but unlikely for first offenders who cooperate. And my house. completely protected. The title company flagged your property. Any future transactions require in-person verification with 2 forms of ID and a witness. No one can touch it without you physically present. After we hung up, I walked through my house. Really walked through it. Every room reclaimed, every space mine again. The bedroom where I'd slept for 30 years, no longer locked against me. The kitchen where I'd made thousands of meals, no longer filled with Madeline's judgment. The living room where my husband and I had watched our son grow up, no longer occupied by people who saw me as an obstacle. I opened the door to the garage. The space heater was still there. My bed had been moved back upstairs, but you could see the outline where it had sat on the concrete floor. They'd put me here, in this cold, dim space, and they'd expected me to stay quiet about it. I turned off the light and closed the door. Charlotte came over that afternoon with a bottle of wine and her famous lemon cake. We sat on my porch watch in the neighborhood kids bike past. "How are you feeling?" she asked. Tired? Relieved? Sad? I paused. Proud, I think. You should be. You stood up for yourself when most people would have just accepted it. I almost did accept it. That first night in the garage, I kept thinking maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I was being difficult. Maybe at my age I should just be grateful someone was willing to take care of me. Charlotte's hand found mine. That's what they counted on. That conditioning we all have. Be nice. Don't make trouble. Accept what you're given. I'm done accepting, I said. She smiled. Good. The bank sent official confirmation that week. The fraudulent loan application had been permanently expunged from my records. My credit was clean. My property was mine, clear and unencumbered. Thomas, the manager, included a handwritten note. "Mrs. Richardson, your vigilance prevented a crime. Thank you for trusting us enough to ask questions. We're here whenever you need us." I put the letter in a folder labeled Evidence. Not because I'd need it again, but because I wanted to remember. Wanted proof that I hadn't imagined any of it. Oliver's lawyer called once, asking if I'd be willing to write a letter to the judge requesting leniency. I told him no. "He's your son," the lawyer said. Like I'd forgotten. "He's also someone who tried to steal my house," I replied. "Those things are both true, but only one of them matters in court." I never heard from the lawyer again. A month after the charges were filed, I received papers in the mail. The plea agreement. Oliver and Madeline had both accepted deals. 3 years probation. $15,000 restitution each. 200 hours community service. Permanent fraud convictions on their records. No jail time, but no erasing what they'd done either. Rebecca called to explain the details. The judge added a condition: no contact with you for the duration of probation unless you initiate it. They can't call, can't text, can't show up at your house. Good, I said, and I meant it. I hired someone to paint the bedroom. Not white like Madeline had it, but a warm gray blue, the color of early morning sky. I bought a new comforter, hung pictures I'd had in storage, put my mother's quilt at the foot of the bed, made it mine again. The Ring camera stayed up. I checked it now, not out of fear, but out of habit. A reminder that I was watching, that I would always be watching. One evening, I found myself back in the garage. Not to sleep there, but to reorganize. I'd let it become storage again, the way garages are supposed to be. As I moved boxers, I found the one labeled Mom's Stuff in Madeline's handwriting. I opened it. My photo albums. My husband's flag. My grandmother's jewelry box. The things they'd thought didn't matter. I carried them inside, one by one, and found places for them. The flag went above the fireplace. The jewelry box on my dresser. The photo albums on the living room shelf. Visible. Honored. Home. Charlotte asked me once if I'd forgiven Oliver. I don't know, I told her honestly. Maybe someday. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. What does it mean? It means I'm not carrying his guilt for him anymore. What he did is his to live with. I'm just living with what I survived. She nodded like she understood. The house feels different now. Quieter, yes. Emptier in some ways. But also more honest. More mine. I wake up in my bedroom every morning. I make coffee in my kitchen. I sit on my porch and watch the neighborhood wake up. And I remember that I almost lost this. Almost let them convince me I was too old, too confused, too much trouble. Almost believed I belonged in the garage. But I didn't. I fought back. Not with anger or revenge, but with truth, with documentation, with the simple, radical act of refusing to accept their version of reality. And I won. Not because I destroyed them, though they're facing consequences for what they did, but because I saved myself. If you're still listening, thank you. Thank you for hearing my story. For believing me when I say that age doesn't make you confused. Being older doesn't make you less worthy of dignity, of safety, of your own damn house. I want to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment and tell me your city, your story, your own moment of standing up when someone tried to push you down. Because we all have those moments. Those times when someone assumes we won't notice, won't fight back, won't remember. And sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is prove them wrong. I'm Mary Richardson. I'm 65 years old. I own my house free and clear. And anyone who tries to put me in the garage again will find out exactly what I'm capable of. This is my story. But the ending is mine. And no one gets to write it but me.